All right, welcome to the first session of our Bootcamp training. We're calling this the Whisper campaign. This is basically going to be a 3-week Zoom session, training session, teaching you the basics of this business of network marketing and teaching you how to treat it like an actual business. So there's going to be 3 Zoom sessions teaching you the basics leading up into our Bootcamp that's going to start June 3rd or June 4th, immediately following the homecoming event. So this is the very first session, very first Whisper campaign session number 1. In today's training, we're going to learn how to do track numbers. We're going to learn how to set proper goals, and we're going to learn daily method of operation, or DMO. So those are all the things that we're going to go over, because in this business, it's very important to know where you're going, but it's also important to know where you're at so you can know where you're going. Just think about it a lot like a GPS system in your car or on your phone. You have to have 2 things. You have to have your beginning coordinates, and you have to have your end destination for it to be able to track and tell you the best route to go. So that's what we're going to learn today. Just know that every successful business, it doesn't matter the industry, it doesn't matter anything, every successful business tracks their numbers very meticulously so they know where they are at any given moment in time, and they know where they're stacking up compared to prior months or prior years. So you have to get very good at tracking numbers, and this is all stuff that you probably haven't learned up to this point. It's so basic and so fundamental and foundational, but it's very rarely taught. So this is really going to be, especially in this session, is going to teach you the groundwork, and you have a solid foundation to build your business on, because you know how to run your business like a business. The common trap in network marketing is that people get into it and they kind of treat it like a hobby or a way to make additional money or extra income. And if that's what you're in it for, that's fine. But if you're in this to really grow this business and have it be substantial income for you and your family, it's so important that you treat it like a business. You know, there's good and bad about this business. The good thing is anybody can do it. The bad thing also is anybody can do it. Anybody can get in and try to make it happen. And so we're going to really teach you throughout the course of this next 3 weeks the foundation to get you to where you treat this like an actual business. You become a professional network marketer. So let's dive right into the information real quick. So first of all, congratulations. You're about to change your life. You know, if you take this boot camp seriously and you really go all in and give it 100% over the course of the next 3 or so months, it's going to be something that's going to completely change your life. You're going to get to the end of this and you're not even going to know where your life is anymore. It's just going to be so crazy. Your life is going to be unrecognizable, and your current situation will be better than your dreams used to be. I can almost guarantee you that this is going to happen. So this is a leadership training. There's going to be some topics in here that are going to be a little bit serious, you know, maybe not serious, but they're going to be very business oriented. So, you know, kind of treat it as that. Treat it as a leadership training. This is going to be training that's going to develop you into being the leader that you need to be for your team, so you can go to the next level and actually become a professional network marketer. So an effective daily routine for network marketing success. So what is your daily method of operation, or DMO? You're going to hear that term a lot. So the acronym is DMO, stands for Daily Method of Operation. In other words, what do you do every day from start to finish to run and operate your business? So if you had a traditional job, you know, your boss tells you what to do. Your boss tells you when you have to be there, tells you when you can go to lunch, and tells you when you can go home. And what you do throughout the course of time that you're at work is your job title, your responsibility at your job. So that would be your daily method of operation at your job. You go in at X amount of time, you go at X time, and you do this activity for this amount of time, and then you take a lunch and you do this activity for this amount of time. That's your daily method of operation, and it all leads towards getting your job done. The key to having a job, you know, or anything that you do, running a business, anything, is you have to be consistent. That's why you don't have a job and you go 1 day a week. You go 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week, because you have to be consistent in your actions, and every business has to be consistent no matter what it is. So that's the key to this business, is establishing what your daily method of operation is and doing it on a consistent basis. So a daily method of operation is your daily schedule that lays out how you should allot your time you are devoting in your network marketing business. The power of doing the right actions consistently over a long enough period of time simply cannot be overstated. So the key word in that whole sentence right there is consistently. This business is all about consistency. You have to establish what your daily method of operation is, and you have to do it consistently until it works for you. All too often people get into this and they give it a shot for, you know, a week, or maybe even they do it a month, or maybe even less than a week. They do it for a couple of days and it doesn't work for them, and they say, well, this isn't for me, or this doesn't work, and then they give up. The key to this is consistency, picking what you're going to do and carrying out that plan over the course of a long period of time. So we're going to be talking a lot about consistency in your daily method of operation. So DMO, your daily method of operation, is only as powerful as your ability to consistently adhere to the schedule day after day, month after month. So it kind of goes back to what I was saying. You can't just do this for a day or a week or even a month. You have to give this some time. It has to be a long-term plan. So plan your day and work your plan. And that's what this is all about. So people who don't plan can plan to fail. So if you don't have a plan, your plan is failure. That's your default plan in anything you do in life. If you don't have a plan to succeed, your default is failure. Okay, so you have to plan. You have to get really good at planning, and you have to get really good at carrying out your plan. So you must set a schedule and adhere to it without deviation. This is a critical part of becoming a success in network marketing. The power is in the simplicity, repetition, and persistence. So you could have the perfect script, and if you only use it 3, 5, 10 times, it might not work. But the power in this business is the simplicity of it. Is you simply just have to reach out to enough people, repetition, and then the persistence to continue on with that process. So framework, or an example of DMO schedule for part-timers. So this is for people that are really part-time. You might have a really busy schedule, and it doesn't matter how much time you have, as long as you have a little bit. And this is not something that has to be full-time or even part-time. You can do it a little bit, but it cannot be sometimes. You have to be consistent with your actions. So this could even be less than part-time for most people. And this gives an example of how you can make this happen with just 10 hours per week. So look at the example: Monday through Friday, 1 hour daily. And then on weekends, you do 5 hours collectively. So it's a total of 10 hours per week. So your Monday through Friday could look a little bit like this. Your income producing activities, IPAs, we call them IBAs, income bringing activities, which we're going to go over exactly what those are here in just a second. But your income producing activities need to be about 45 minutes out of that hour. And then practicing scripts and your presentations need to be about 5 minutes. And then your personal development, you're either reading a personal development growth book or a network marketing skills training book, or listening to it on audio for 10 minutes out of that hour each day. Then your weekend will look a little bit like this, however you decide to spread it out. Your income producing activities, your income bringing activities could be 4.5 hours. Practicing scripts and presentations could be 10 minutes. And then your personal development, your reading, about 10 minutes a day, which totals 20 minutes over the course of the weekend. So that could be an example of your daily method of operation for part-time people. And that's a little bit less than part-time, actually. So the key to coming up with the daily method of operation is you have to establish what's going to work best for you. So what works best for you may not be what works best for me, or anybody else. So you have to kind of determine what your schedule is, what your day-to-day activities already are, and then you have to plan that within the framework of your day-to-day activities and fit it into the cracks of your life. So if it makes more sense for you not to allot an amount of time to spend towards it, but allot a number of contacts that you're going to send, or actually activities that you're going to do, and track it that way, then that's fine as well. But you got to figure out what works best for you, something you could stick with, something that stretches you a little bit, but not too far, something that makes you get outside of your comfort zone, but not something that is impossible for you to achieve on a day-to-day basis. So you got to look at your schedule and establish what a good daily method of operation is for you. If you don't know what that is, or you're a little stuck and confused as far as what you should do, get with your upline leaders and they'll be able to help you plan out and look at your day objectively and plan out where you can fit some of this stuff in. So you might even have to split up. It might not be an hour straight. You might have to do 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there, or 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. However it is that you have to split it up, or you might not be able to do time at all. You might just say, hey, I'm going to make 3 to 5 new contacts every single day and follow up with the people that have shown interest over the past couple of days. Okay. So you got to set up a daily method of operation. Here's an aggressive part-timer's daily method of operation. So this is someone who wants to do 15 hours a week instead of 10. So same weekend routine as above, but during the week, instead of 1 hour daily, double that to 2 hours daily. Or you can take 1 hour a day throughout the week and add the additional time on the weekends if that's when you have your time. So keep in mind, this is very flexible. This is just an example of a way to set up a daily method of operation for yourself. So remember, income producing activities are those activities that either directly build your customer base or build your organization. Again, we're going to go over that here in just a second. In other words, talking to new people about your product, services, or opportunities, you want to spend roughly 80% of your time on income producing activities or income bringing activities. You're going to hear the term IBA a lot, income bringing activities. Again, we'll get to that in just a second. 1 hour daily per week is not a lot to ask, but if done consistently and with strong focus, it can compound over time into real tangible success. And remember, this is a duplicatable business. So even if you only have an hour to spend, you start bringing other people onto your team that only have an hour to spend. Now you're not talking about an hour a day. You're talking about say you have 5 people on your team now, you're talking about 6 hours a day, an hour for each one of your teammates and an hour for you that's going to go towards directly building your business and theirs at the same time. So this is a business where we have leverage. It's also a duplication business. So even if you only have an hour, you need to find other people that have time to work this business as well, because remember, what they do also affects your business directly. So since most people you will bring into your organization will be part-time, they too will benefit from having a structured schedule in place, which will help them allot their time as well. So if you get your daily method of operation down, then you can teach this to your team, and then their efforts is also going to go towards growing your business, kind of like what I just said. You have leverage in this business. So collectively, if everyone is on the same page, there will be many more new people being exposed to this business, on a daily basis. The more people you can bring into your team and teach them how to do these foundational things that we're talking about during this training, the better off your business is going to be. So you really don't have to put a whole lot of time into this. If you can help duplicate this process down to your team, you can still stick with your hour a day or 2 hours a day or number of contacts per day, and then duplicate that to your team. And it's compounding over the course of time, the more people you bring onto your team. So discovering your DMO schedule. Keep in mind that you have to find what works for you, kind of like what we were talking about earlier. Staying consistent is the most important thing when you create your own DMO. For example, someone with kids might do personal development before the kids wake up or while they're napping, and then work the business online or by phone after the kids fall asleep and on the weekends. Another example, someone who works 40+ hours a week will probably work this business on their lunch break and after work, or maybe before work, depending on your schedule, and on the weekends while squeezing in personal development, which is PD, in your breaks or your mobile university, which is your car. So keep in mind, most people have a commute to work. Now, however long that is different for every person, but you can turn your car literally into a rolling university. You can put personal development or business growing type of information on in your car. Turn the radio off and put all this stuff in your car, so you're listening to it for 20 or 30 minutes going to work and 20 or 30 minutes going back from work, which would typically be wasted time for people. You can use this to help grow yourself and grow your business. So someone who goes to school full-time and works full-time may work doing 3-way calls, webinars, and Zooms while walking to different classes on breaks and on weekends or late at night. So this can fit into the cracks of your life. This is something that anybody can work around their schedule. Remember, again, just like creating a workout schedule, you are most likely to stick to it if you create something that you can be consistent with and also have something that you're moving towards. So IBAs, we've talked about that a little bit. So IBA stands for income bringing activities. This is very important to remember, very important to know. So what qualifies as an IBA? So there's a lot of things, there's a lot of activities that aren't necessarily income bringing. So we're going to go over what are income bringing activities, meaning things that are actually going to add income to your business. So 3-way phone calls, 2-on-1s, home meetings, home parties, bringing a guest to a weekly event, getting someone to watch a webinar, getting customers, getting someone registered for an international event, launching new reps, conditionally launching new reps. So what that means is if you're not going over with your reps on how to contact, you're not helping them make their first initial contact, then it's not really a launch. It's more of an orientation. What we mean by a launch, which is really launching somebody in this business. A true launch is helping your new rep complete IBA. So helping your new reps complete all of those things that we talked about above. Meaning if you launch a new rep and don't do IBAs, it's not a true launch, which means it's not an IBA for you as well. So you have to understand that IBAs are things that could actually bring income or growth in your business. So here's an example, some of the things that do not qualify as IBAs. And some of these things are important for growth in your business, but remember what we said when we were breaking it down, you want to spend 80% of your time, however amount of time you have, on doing income bringing activities. And then you can spend the remainder of your 20% of your time on some of these other things that are not necessarily IBAs, but might be important in the grand scheme of things. So what is not considered an IBA or part of your 80% of what your activity should be is posting on social media, learning how to, whatever it is, that's not considered an IBA. Just simply sitting down and learning how to do something is not considered an income bringing activity because nobody's being exposed to the product or the business side of it. So it's not going to bring income into your business directly. Setting up an IBA is not considered an IBA. So what that means is having conversation with people without having sent them an actual video or without having introduced them to samples of the product or something like that. So just basically having a conversation leading up into a point where you're going to introduce them to a video or a meeting or something like that, that is not an IBA. Actually introducing them or getting them to watch a video, that would be considered an IBA, but not having the conversation and actually saying, hey, what's up, or hey, how are you, or or carrying on a conversation, catching up, that would not be considered an IBA, even though it might be leading up into the point where you're going to be getting an IBA out of that conversation. That conversation is not considered an IBA. Having someone download the app without watching the webinar is not considered an IBA. It may lead to an IBA again, but it's not an IBA. Passing out your business cards, not considered an IBA or an income bringing activity. I could go out and pass out 400 business cards on cars in the Walmart parking lot, and that might not bring me any income into my business because nobody's seeing any information. They just simply see a business card or a flyer. So that's not considered an IBA. Now, if somebody comes back to you and calls you from you dropping your business card or from you dropping a flyer and they say, hey, I want to know more information, you send them a video, then that would be considered an IBA or an income bringing activity. So sharing samples without exposing or qualifying somebody would not be considered an IBA. So you have to share samples and say, hey, this is the product that I have. I also want you to check out a video, or sending them the video to the products first and then saying, hey, here's the sample. That would be considered an IBA. Showing up to events without guests is not considered an income bringing activity. Showing up to events is very important with or without guests, but it's only considered an income bringing activity if you have a prospect that goes to those that could potentially join your business or become a customer of yours, which therefore would bring income into your business. That would be considered an IBA, but just showing up to an event without a guest is not considered an IBA. So hopefully that's clear. If that's not clear, then reach out to me or get with your upline and we might be able to break down a little bit further as far as what an IBA is. But any of these boot camps or accountability sessions that I've been a part of, that's been the main issue, is establishing what an IBA is and what an IBA is not. So as long as we're all on the same page and you just use this basic criteria to determine what an IBA is, you'll be able to know pretty easily whether you're doing an income bringing activity. Just remember, it is an action that can directly result in somebody either being a customer or a distributor on your team. It's a really good way to break down what an IBA actually is. Okay, so now that we know what IBAs are, now that we know what to track, we need to know why it's important to track your numbers. Okay, so these IBAs is going to be one of the main numbers that you're going to track. So tracking your numbers, it helps you find what IBAs are most effective for you and helps you find where you need to improve. You can also figure out closing ratios. So there's a couple of points in that one sentence or those two sentences right there. So tracking your numbers helps you find what IBAs are most effective for you. So we'll start there. There's many different ways to expose people to this business. Some people might be better at doing PDRs and home meetings. Some people might be better at inviting people to weekly meetings in a hotel setting. Some people might be, it might be more effective for them to send videos. Some people, it might be more effective to do three-way phone calls. There's many different ways to expose people to the business, but you have to find out what works best for you. So if PDRs are not working for you, then try sending links to videos, try doing three-way phone calls, try doing inviting people to DFYs, try doing two-on-one meetings or one-on-one meetings. The key is you have to know your numbers to know whether something is working or not. You have to track your numbers and find out, okay, I'm drastically better at getting people interested from doing three-way phone calls as opposed to inviting people to PDRs or as opposed to sending people videos. This is a much better route for me to go. So therefore, you can up your percentages of people that are going to be interested based on the IBAs that you send out. But you have to know those numbers before you're able to actually know what's most effective for you. So that's what it means where you say you can find where you need to improve. So if you know your numbers, and that's why all professional sports teams in any league, they keep very meticulous stats and figures and numbers because they want to know how people are performing and they want to know what they need to work on. So in order to know what you need to work on, you have to know where you stand right now. So you can also figure out closing ratios based on your numbers. So let's say you have 20 IBAs in a week, and those 20 IBAs, out of those 20 IBAs, you got 4 new business partners and 1 new customer. Okay, so that's you're closing 5 out of 20, right? So that's a pretty good percentage, but you would never know that unless you had tracked your numbers. Now, we're going to get into here in just a second why it's important and break down some examples of how this all works, and we're going to tie it all together. But there's a couple of things we need to go over before we do that. So keeping track of your numbers and knowing your numbers, it helps with an accountability system. You know what you need in order to hit rank the next month. You know how to reverse engineer your goals. Plain and simple, you cannot scale a business without knowing your numbers. So this business is something that can be very trackable. It could be almost like a science. It's not guesswork once you start tracking your numbers and you start learning what your closing ratios are. So that's what it means when it says you know how to reverse engineer your goals. Again, we'll get into that here in just a second with examples, but it's very important to know all of these things as far as why it's important to track your numbers. So now we've gotten down figuring out where we are, knowing where we currently are. Now we need to know where we're going. That's the second piece of the puzzle that we had. Remember the GPS analogy? You have to know where you are. There's two pieces of information you have to know to plug into a GPS so it can take you where you need to go. You have to know where you are, your beginning coordinates, and you also have to know where you're going, your end destination. So we're going to go over a little bit about goal setting, then we're going to tie it all in together with some examples. So if you're not sure what rank you want to be, it's easiest to think of the amount of income you want to realistically work for over the next 90 days. So if you don't know what rank you want to be, or you don't think you know what's possible, pick an amount that you want to make every month, and then go back and look at usincome.kayami.net and go back and look at the income disclosure statement and pick that out and say, okay, well, I wanted to make $2,000, so that means I would need to be a sapphire in the next 90 days. So that'll let you know, kind of give you a better idea of where you want to go as far as goal setting. And I love this sentence right here. It says, if you aim for nothing, you will hit it every single time. And that's totally true. People without vision, people perish, says that in the Bible. So even going back to one of the best books ever, it says, without vision, people perish. So you have to know where you're going. You have to have an idea in your head about where you want to go in this business, or you're never going to get there. Okay? So it goes back to that. If you aim for nothing, you hit it every single time. So if you don't have a goal, you're going to get nothing out of it. So note, be on the lookout for a Kairos IBA tracking and goal sheet. It's going to be posted in the Team Fusion Kairos Facebook page. I would imagine before the end of the week. Heidi's working on getting that all done, but it's going to be a way where we can all track our numbers together. We all have the same tracking system, so we all know that we're all on the same page, all using the same information. It'll be good for a lot of different reasons to be on the same page and be tracking on the same tracking sheet. So keep a lookout for that here in the next couple of days. Okay, so how to set goals. It's very important to understand that goals have to be something that stretches you a little bit, but it also has to be something that is attainable for you so you don't give up on it. So it's very important to understand how to properly goal set. Because if you set your goals too high, you're going to get frustrated and quit. But if you set them too low, it's not going to push you. And you're more than likely not going to get to where you want to go because you're going to lose interest. So here's a cool acronym. It's SMART, S-M-A-R-T. So the S stands for specific. You want to know exactly what it is you want to achieve in your business and to what extent. A good objective statement or goal should answer the questions which, what, who, where, when, and why. Okay, so be very specific. I want to achieve the rank of Sapphire by August 1st, and this is why I want to do that. Okay, so that's a very specific goal. It has to be measurable. That's the M in SMART. You need to be able to track the progress and measure the outcome. A good objective statement should answer the question, how much or how many? So we're going to get into that in the examples we're about to go over. But if you say, we can reverse engineer our goals. You can say, I need to reach out to 100 people to get 20 people in my business because that's my ratio that I've come up with through tracking my numbers. I'm closing 20 out of 100 or 20% of the people that I talk to. So I need to talk to 100 people to get 20. So that's how many people do I need to talk to achieve my specific goal, which was the S in SMART. A stands for action oriented. Say what you're going to do. A good objective statement should describe a result, okay? R stands for realistic and relevant. The objective should be challenging but realistic and also relevant to your business. Objectives may appear optimistic initially, but as you develop strategies to achieve them, they become realistic. So you can start with a goal that stretches you and might seem a little bit unrealistic in the beginning, but then you can grow and learn new skills as far as developing and becoming and making that goal seem a little bit more attainable over the course of time. That's a really cool thing about this business is you might not be the person right now that's capable of achieving that goal, but you can grow every single day. You grow and you get better, and then that goal becomes much more attainable. And then the T in the acronym SMART stands for time-based. Objectives should include a time limit. A good objective statement should include by when do you want to achieve your result. So it's always important to put a deadline on it so you know when you want to get there. Because if you say, hey, I want to hit Sapphire, then that's a pretty open-ended statement. And it could take you 5 years to hit Sapphire and you would still achieve your goal, even though that wouldn't really be what you want. So you have to say, I want to hit Sapphire by August 1st. And that's a really good timetable. So therefore, you can, again, go back and reverse engineer and figure out how many people you need to talk to before August 1st to help you achieve your goal, okay? Good examples of specific, of SMART, the acronym SMART. You can kind of read over this or screenshot it or whatever you want to do, but it gives you a good kind of description of the questions that it should answer over here in description, and then a SMART goal, which really has nothing to do with Kayami. It's just an example. So you can read over that, screenshot it if you want to. Okay, so now we're going to get into some examples and tie this whole thing together real quick. Okay, so let's say your goal is Jade, 2,000 in qualified volume. We already know that. So we already know also that the middle package is 400 QV. So we already have all the information that we need. So 2,000 QV divided by 400 QV. So you want to hit Jade at 2,000 divided by 400. So you know how many reps you have to have come in at the middle package of the 599 package to be able to achieve your goal. So that number happens to be 5 reps because 400 divided by 2,000 is 5. Okay. So say we know through tracking our numbers that we have a 25% closing ratio, or in other words, that we can close 1 out of every 4 exposures we do. Now that's a little bit lofty. That's a pretty good closing ratio, I would say. But whatever that ratio is, this is just an example. You can figure all that up on your own. We're just giving you the formula to figure that up. Then we know in order to get 5 reps, we need to do 5 reps times 4 exposures equals 20 exposures. So we know that to get a rep, we have to do 4 exposures, right? So to get 5 reps, that would mean we need to do 5 times 4, which is 20 exposures. So now you can divide 20 exposures by 4 weeks, which is 1 month. You need to have 5 exposures a week, or roughly 1 exposure every day, Monday through Friday, to be able to achieve your goal of Jade. So again, it's very measurable, very attainable, very trackable, and almost predictable if you do it right. And as long as you know your closing ratio, and you're going to get your closing ratio over the course of time. So that's why we did this 3 weeks early before we're about to start the blitzes, so you can practice all of this information that we're giving you and actually apply it and get it all down for you. So that way, when it comes time and when we say go and we're ready to go on this blitz, we don't have to worry about setting up formulas or systems or spreadsheets or anything like that. We already have everything in place. We already know our closing ratios. So we can say, I want to hit Sapphire in June. I need to do this, which goes into this example right here next. So say you want to hit Sapphire in June. We already know it's 10,000 in qualified volume, group volume. We also know, again, that the middle package is 400 in QV. So if you want to get 10,000 QV, you know you're going to have 25 reps coming into your business in June. So that's not just you bringing in 25 reps, that's your team. So you can help your team set up these goals at the same time. So say you want to hit Sapphire, you want to help everybody on your team hit Jade, which goes back to this example right here. So you set up a goal for your team to all hit Jade, and then set up and give them this formula as well and let them set up their goals. And then kind of by default, you're going to hit your goals as well. So you have to know not only your own numbers, but you have to know your team's goals and numbers at the same time. So if you want to hit Sapphire in June, so you implement this formula for the remainder of May. You start tracking your numbers. You know that you're closing 1 out of 10, or for this example, 1 out of 4. You're closing and getting into your business. So you know that you have to have 25 reps join your business in the month of June to be able to hit the rank of Sapphire. So now we can reverse engineer it, right? So say we know through tracking our numbers that we have a 25% closing ratio, or in other words, that we close 1 out of every 4 exposures. Then we know in order to get 25 reps, we need to do 25 times 4 exposures, which equals 100 exposures. So for you to hit Sapphire cumulatively throughout your team, you're going to have 100 exposures. Okay, then that's saying that you have a 25% closing ratio. Even if you have a 1% closing ratio, you can figure all this out. You know, you just have to plug in different numbers, and you just have to figure all of it out based on the formula that we have. So based on these statistics, now we know that you can simply divide 100 exposures by 4 weeks, which is 1 month, which is the month of June. You need to have 25 exposures a week, or 4.17 exposures a day if you work Kayani 6 days a week. So that's just 6 days a week. That's not even 7 days a week. So you can even take a day off every single week and still make this happen. So you can kind of see how this is a very trackable business and almost a very predictable business, as long as you have a certain formula and as long as you know your numbers. But you have to track your numbers for a period of time to start developing a ratio. Now, the cool thing about your ratios is they can improve over time. So say you have a 1% closing ratio right now, meaning you have to talk to 100 people to get 1. You can up that to a 10% or a 20% or even a 25% like we have on this, through repetition, through being consistent, through doing it over and over again. Because the more you do something, the better you get at it, right? So baseline numbers, say you're closing 1%. You talk to 100 people, you get 1. You can improve that, and the next month you could talk to 100 people and get 5. You know, and then the next month 100 people and get 10. So your ratios could improve, but you can, that's great, because then you're going to get to your goal even faster. So if you put your baseline number in here, so say your baseline number is 1%, you know, and you're going to have to talk to a lot of people, obviously, based on this example, if you want to get to Sapphire at a 1% closing ratio, but at least you know what you have to do. And then when you get to number 50 and you still haven't gotten anybody in your business, you know what your ratio is, and you know that you have to continue to talk to people over and over and over again to get to where you want to go. So it really doesn't matter. This is kind of taking all the guesswork out of it. You know, obviously you want yeses out of every conversation that you have and everybody that you approach. But even if you don't get that, you know what your closing ratio is already. So you can expect, 99 people out of 100 to say no if you know that your closing ratio is 1%. So that's why it's so important to know your numbers, not only so you know where you are and know where you're going, but also so you don't get frustrated in the process. Okay. So start tracking your numbers now. As soon as you see this, start tracking your numbers, start knowing, where you currently stand, and then you can track next month if you've improved on your closing ratio. So you're starting to determine where you're deficient in this whole process. Therefore, you can improve. So if your deficiency is recruiting, then you know that you got to work on recruiting skills, and you got to continue to do it over and over and over again. If your deficiency is in your team's recruiting, then you know you have to start training them on how to recruit. So you know exactly where you are, you know exactly where you're going. So this business is very predictable once you get all these numbers down and start implementing the system. So treat this just like a business. But it's not even that hard. So this is a leveraged business like we talked about earlier. So you have to remember, this does not include anybody coming in your business with a $9.99 package. We only picked $5.99, which the $9.99 package is actually 750 QV. That should not say CQV. That should just say QV. So someone coming in at $9.99 is 750 QV, whereas the middle package was only 400. So if you have people coming in at the larger package, which is a way better value, then you're going to get to your goals even faster. On top of that, we didn't count into that formulation anybody getting any customers at all. That was no additional personal CQV from you or your downline was figured into those statistics. So we figure that most people on your team are going to get qualified at 150 in CQV every single month. So understand that you're going to be able to get there even faster. And you can figure all those numbers up as well, and that's going to be different for every single person. But you basically have to go through and figure out what all your auto ships are on your team and know exactly where you stand waking up every month based on auto ships throughout your business. And potato packs and customer auto ships as well. So imagine if you helped everyone get qualified, how much you would duplicate and how residual this business would actually be for you. But the whole point of this whole thing, this whole training is just know that this business can be trackable and it can be predictable if you know your numbers. So there's not going to be any more guesswork in this business at all once you get this system down and start implementing it. So recap time. We all know what the SW rule is. Some will, some wait, some won't. So what? Next. You move on to the next person. So tracking your numbers makes this so much easier because you can expect a certain amount of no's based on whatever your closing ratio is. You expect those no's, and you have to have those no's to get to your yeses. So apply this rule, the SW rule. Some will, some wait, some won't. So what? Next. So if people are telling you no left and right, just know you're getting that much closer to a yes. And we also know you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, and you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. So timing is very important in this business. If you catch somebody at the right time, you can't say the wrong things. But if you catch somebody at the wrong time, you can't really say the right things to get somebody interested in this business. But just know that you're planting those seeds by talking to every person you talk to. You're planting that little seed. Like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. This is what I've done so far. This is what you could potentially do in this business. And you're planting that seed with them. So when the timing becomes different for them, then they might come back to you, which is exactly what happened for every leader in this business. I can promise you, every single leader that has been in this business has planted seeds and had people come back to them when the timing improved for that person, for that prospect. So we know that there's skills we have to learn in this business. So you can learn those skills and improve your ratios, but you can also learn while you earn money in this business. That's the coolest thing about it. We always hear leaders say you have to go through your numbers, but what does that even mean? It means exactly what we've just gone over. It means you have to know your numbers. You have to know your ratios. You have to know the formulas to be able to track your numbers. You have to know all of that stuff to be able to run a successful, long-term, sustainable network marketing business. So we're going to go on a boot camp. I think that's you know why we're all here. 90-day blitz. It's going to start immediately after our homecoming event. So that's going to be the launch pad for this whole 90-day blitz. So if you chose to get on and do this 90-day blitz, if you chose to get on to this training right now and listen to this training through all the way through and complete the boot camp, I can promise you that you're going to be successful at the end of it if you give it your all and 100%. All we're doing in these first 3 weeks and these Zoom presentations we're going to do leading up to that point is what we're calling a whisper campaign. We're laying the foundation. We're laying the groundwork. So whenever homecoming is over, we can just hit the ground running and start making our contacts. Because that's what this business is all about. This business is a contact sport. You make the contacts and it's going to work for you. Okay, so we're going to go on a 90-day blitz. So it's just very important to know the foundation, and that's why we're doing this leading up into that. So it gives you time to practice. It gives you time to implement these systems. and know exactly what you're doing so everybody can be on the same page and we can all be a fine-tuned machine going into this boot camp and this blitz. So the only thing that works is work. None of this information is going to matter if you don't put in the work to make it happen. Every single leader that's been successful in this business that I've seen, not only in Kyani, but in every other company, has done it through a large burst, a huge spike in momentum over a condensed small amount of time, and that launches their business. You know, the analogy that I love is a plane uses 80% of its fuel taking off, you know, but they can't sustain that amount of energy and that amount of fuel and power throughout the whole course of the journey. But the hardest part is getting off the ground. So that's why they do 80% of their fuel when they take off, and then they kind of level and pull back on the throttle once they get up here. And then obviously the landing. And then the next time they take off, they use 80% of their fuel again. They refuel. You know, it's a process. It's a cycle. You get up in the air, you work with what you got, you duplicate leaders, and then you land, you fuel back up, and then you do it again. You take off and you hit another huge spike in momentum. There are very few people that have been wildly successful, and I'm talking about higher level pin levels like Emerald and Diamond, that haven't gone on a blitz, that haven't created massive momentum through massive exposures over a condensed amount of time. So you just got to remember, the only thing that works is work. And this is kind of funny. It's not bashing jobs or anything by any means, but it says works hard at work. Only thing at home to do is waiting till the next work day. So basically the whole idea behind that is some of us work harder at our jobs than we do at our business. And that doesn't make any sense. Why would you work harder to make somebody else's dreams come true, the owner of your company or the CEO, than you would to make your own dreams come true? So it's not bashing jobs by any means. Jobs are necessary for most people. And jobs are an excellent way to make money and provide for your family, but don't stop there. Don't just have a job. Always be working on something on the side for yourself. You know, you can work full-time at your job and part-time on your fortune. I think that's where most people get it wrong, is that they don't work part-time on their fortune. They just work full-time at their job and make somebody else's dreams come true. So they're never working on their own life. They're only working on other people's lives. Okay. So don't just work hard at your job, work hard on your business as well. And there's never been a better time than now to work hard on your own dreams. So the only thing that follows work is results. And that could be turned around and go the other way too. The only thing that follows not working is also results, but the results are not going to be favorable for you. So if you put in the hard work and you dedicate yourself 100% to something, the only choice is the results that you're looking for. But if you don't do that, even if you give it 70 or 80%, those results might not be exactly what you want. But you're still going to get results regardless. But you got to put in the hard work to get the results that you want. So don't believe the lies in this business. This business is not hard. It's not easy. It's simple. You know, this business is not hard. I mean, the basics of what we do in this business, if you break it down, or we talk to people, is it hard talking? It's not hard talking, right? Opening your mouth and having words come out, that's not hard. It's not hard giving somebody something by passing out a sample. It's not hard sending somebody a link to a video and asking them to watch it, copy pasting and sending. That's not hard. That's pretty much all we do is we talk, we pass out samples, and we send out links to videos. I mean, it's about as simple as it can possibly get. The hard part about this whole thing is the development of yourself that you're going to have to do, because very few people are who they need to be when they get involved in a business like this. They're not the type of person that can go diamond. But the great thing about life and the great thing about this business is that you can become that person. But that's the hard part. The hard part is changing years or decades of conditioning. You've conditioned yourself to think a certain way. You've conditioned yourself to be a certain way. Society, your parents, school, your job has all conditioned you to be a certain way. And honestly, we've never had to hold ourselves accountable from the time we were born, because when you're born, your parents tell you what to do. When you go to school, your teachers tell you what to do. Go to college, your professors tell you what to do. Go to a job, your boss tells you what to do. So there's a lot of things that have to change in your mentality to be very successful at this business. And that's the hard part. This business is not hard. Changing your mindset is hard. Changing years of conditioning is hard, but it's possible. You just have to plug into personal development. You have to stay plugged into the meetings and the phone calls and all of those things. And it's possible for anybody to change and get the right mentality to become successful at this business. So don't believe the lie that this business is hard. It's not easy, but it's simple. What we do is simple, but growing into the person, that's the tricky part. So you have to just understand what exactly is hard about this whole process. It's not the business that's hard. It's changing your mindset that's hard. So don't believe the lie that people will fall into your business. People are not going to come knocking on your door or calling your phone just because you made a post on Facebook that said you got into a business. They're not going to come to you. You have to go to them. You have to attract those people based on the person that you become throughout your journey in growing your mindset in this business. You have to approach them. You have to be the type of person that they want to follow into a business. Okay. So that's a common misconception too, is that people think that when they get into a business like this, and especially with our done for you model and all that kind of stuff, they think that people are just going to come to them, but that's not the case. You have to go to those people, and then you have to start attracting people based on the person that you're becoming and the success that you're having. Also, don't believe the lie that you can get lucky. Some people might see a certain level of luck based on the timing and when they were put into a business. They might have people build their business up into a certain point for them without them having to actually do the work. But in my opinion, that is unlucky. Having somebody build your business for you is unlucky because it's not sustainable. Because if you don't learn the skills and you don't go through the struggle that it takes to build this business and grow your own mentality and grow yourself, you're never going to have a long-term sustainable business because you don't have any idea how you got to Jade or Pearl or Sapphire or whatever rank that person in your upline built you to. You're not going to know how to sustain that. You're not going to know how to move forward because you didn't have to go through the struggle and the hard times and learning the proper skills to get there. It was all done for you. So yes, you might have made a small amount of money in the beginning, but it's going to go away and you're not going to know what to do and you're going to get frustrated and you're not going to want to build it back. Okay. So don't believe the lie that you can get lucky in this business. My opinion is that the people that are the luckiest are the people that have had the toughest journey to get to where they wanted to go, because they've had to change their mentality. They've had to develop the skills, and now they know what to do to get to where they want to go because they've already done it before. So don't believe the lie that this business you can get lucky in this business. Even if you see people that are having their business somewhat built for them, they're not the lucky ones. The lucky ones are the ones that have struggled for a year to a year and a half or 2 years or whatever, and they finally start to put the pieces together and they finally start to grow their business. Those are the lucky ones because now they've developed a rock solid mindset towards this business. And now they have also developed the skills that is required to build this business over and over and over again. Because once you know how to do it once, you can do it again, and you can do it faster and better the second time than you could the first time. So don't believe the lies. There is sacrifice. To attain something of greater value, one must be willing to give up something of lesser value. So that's the law of sacrifice. Now, here's how I always like to explain this to people is everybody has 24 hours in a day. Nobody has figured out yet how to create more time. Nobody's figured out how to have 25 hours in a day. That's just not a thing. So every single person has something that fills every single second of their day. Now, whether that be sleep or watching TV or something that's not productive, you're still filling every second with something that you're doing. It could be eating, it could be spending time with your kids, it could be at work, it could be going to school, whatever the case may be. But when you're starting to add Kayani into that, you have to really assess what you're going to take out, because to replace something, to put something in, you have to take something out. You can't just simply add that into it because every single second of your day is already filled. So to put Kayani into that puzzle, you have to then take something out. So really assess what is not adding value to your life. I always suggest people stop watching TV. When you get involved in this business, use your TV time to work on Kayani, because your TV is not going to grow your life. It's not going to get you to the life of your dreams. It might seem like a good recreation or a good way to wind down or whatever, but if you're not where you want to be in your life, you don't have time to watch TV. Take TV out, add Kayani in. Now, if you don't watch TV already, maybe you're going to have to cut a little bit of time off your sleeping schedule. Maybe you have to go to bed an hour late or wake up an hour early, or both, to be able to work this business. Maybe you're going to have to make some sacrifices in other areas of your life. But the important thing to understand is that there is sacrifice when you're adding Kayani in. You have to take something else out. So you have to assess and determine for yourself, what is the best things for me to take out of my life to add Kayani in? What is not giving value to my life? What is not advancing me in my life? I'm going to take that out. I'm going to add Kayani in. So in order to go up, you have to give up. So that's another way to say it. So just as long as you understand that you have to have sacrifice, you can't continue to live the life that you're living and add Kayani in. You have to take something out to put something in. So I love this right here. We're about to wrap up here, but this is an awesome analogy. And you see the arrow with the leadership pointing up. Then on the left, it says rights, and on the right, it says responsibility. So as your leadership goes up, your rights go down and your responsibilities go up. So as you rise in leadership, responsibility increases and rights decrease. So what that means is the higher level of leadership you get, the more your responsibilities are. You're responsible for those people on your team that followed you into this business and trusted you to give it your 100% effort to helping them grow this business. Your rights to not attend meetings go down. Your rights to not get on phone calls go down. Your rights to not be there for your team go down the higher your leadership goes up. So as you continue to raise in leadership, your rights go down, your responsibilities go up. So really self-assess and think about if this is something that you really want to do with your life, because the further you go in this business, the less rights you have to do what you want to do. You're living for your team. The higher you go up in the leadership ladder. So your responsibilities go up and your rights go down. So really self-evaluate. Think of if this boot camp is something that you really want to do, and if Kyani is really something that you really want to do with your life. How much are you willing to sacrifice? Because to get to where you want to go, there is sacrifice, just like we talked about on the slide before, the law of sacrifice. So I just love this analogy. Just understand that it never really gets easier. As your leadership goes up, you have more and more responsibilities that you're going to be responsible for. You have more people you're going to be responsible for. You have more lives and families that you're going to be responsible for. So just as long as you understand that, you can move forward. So this business is not hard. We've already talked about that. But do you know what is hard? What is hard is working 40 to 60 to 90 hours of your week, of your life every single week for the rest of your life. It's hard for mothers to have to get up in the middle of the night with their children and know that they have to wake up 2 or 3 hours later again because their kids are going to wake up, and knowing that their husband can't help them because their husband has to go to work for 10 to 12 hours a day the next day. And that's every single day type of thing. That's hard. Knowing that your husband or wife is going to be away at work or whatever, that type of stuff is hard. Knowing that you have to miss your kids' games because you have to go to work, or you miss first steps or first words, like it was in my case with your daughter, because you can't be there because you have to be at work making somebody else's dream come true. That's hard. This business is not hard. This is something that you can do in the cracks of your life until it becomes something that you can do full time. But once you get to where you want to go, there's no other lifestyle that's better than this business. So it's going to be short-term sacrifice for long-term gain, because what good is money without time to be able to enjoy that money? And what good is time without money? They go hand in hand. They have to go together. So if you have a good paying job, but you have no time to be able to enjoy your life, then it's a waste. But if you have a bad paying job that takes up a lot of your time and you might make just a little bit of money, then it doesn't mean anything either. So you have to have time and money. And that's the beautiful thing about this business. This business is not hard. Digging ditches out in the hot sun and in Texas summer, that's hard. There's so many jobs that are so much harder than this. So don't think that this business is hard. And again, this business is not hard. We already did establish that earlier. Developing yourself into the person that's capable of doing this business, that might be hard, but this business is not hard. But it's going to be a journey for you. It's going to be a campaign. It's going to be something that's going to take time for most people. So you just have to understand that this is a long-term journey. So it's short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. So again, guys, I'm not going to continue to beat a dead horse. We know that homecoming is the launching pad for this whole entire blitz. We know that this is the most important event that you can go to. We know how important these trainings are and how on fire you're going to feel when you leave this event. This is going to be the motivation you need to jump into this boot camp full force and be able to give it 100%. So again, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. You can get your tickets at teamfusionevents.com. If you don't know the importance by now, you're probably not going to know the importance. You're not going to, and remember, we talked about sacrifice. It takes sacrifice to get to where you want to go. So if you're not coming to this event, then you're not willing to sacrifice enough to be successful at this business. So teamfusionevents.com, you can get your individual event tickets for $129, or you can get combo tickets, which gives you a ticket to the 2-day event. You get into every day of the event. You can also get into the leadership dinner Friday night with Mr. Andy Andrews, one of our keynote speakers. And you can also get into the party that Team Fusion is going to have after the last session on Saturday night. So you can get that package deal for $199, saves you some money, so you don't have to buy all of the tickets individually. So again, teamfusionevents.com. If you have not got your ticket, get your ticket as soon as you get off of this, as soon as you get done watching this. Please get your ticket. Okay, guys, so that is the training that we have for today. It was the very first session of our Whisper campaign, which is what we're going to call it, the period of time for the remainder of this month leading up until the launch of our Blitz, which is going to happen immediately following our homecoming event. So expect another training. It's going to follow this one on Monday night. They're going to be every Monday night for the remainder of May, and it's going to be on Zoom. Keep a lookout on the Team Fusion Kairos Facebook page for the link for that individual Zoom meeting. but we're going to have different foundation fundamental trainings every single week that's going to give you the tools and the secrets that you need to be able to treat this like an actual business and treat it like you are running a very successful business and teach you how to become a professional network marketer. So these are trainings that are not gone over enough, in my opinion. They're very fundamental baseline trainings that I think that everybody needs to know to be able to run a very successful business. So again, recap, track your numbers, come up with your goals, set up a daily method of operation for yourself to be successful in this business. So a takeaway. Start tracking your numbers. Start implementing some of the things that you learned here. Sit down and figure out where you are right now. Sit down and figure out where you want to go and implement a strategy towards achieving that goal. Those are the three things that you need to do to set up for our blitz that's going to happen over the course of the summer. So start implementing the information that you learned on this webinar and really get good at it over the remainder of the month of May. That way, whenever June comes, there's not going to be any questions. You're just a fine-tuned machine, just ready to jump in and give 100% towards the blitz and towards contacting people. So thank you all for jumping on. This is just the first piece of a mini-piece puzzle, but it's starting to come together very nicely. And I think that this is going to be something that's going to take everybody that chooses to do so to the next level. Remember, this business is not for the chosen few. It's for the few who choose. It only takes making a decision in your head. That's the very first step, is making that decision. So make the decision to better your life, and we're all going to do it together. So that's what I love about it, is we're all going to do this together. We're all going to win together. We're all going to be able to feed off of each other's energy and motivation. So you're not going to be doing this alone. This is going to be a Team Fusion Kairos wide thing, launched, or not a launch, but a blitz that we're going to be doing over the course of the summer. So we're calling it the Summer of Cash. Starts with homecoming, starts with attending each one of these Zoom trainings. But thank you guys so much for taking charge and taking control of your life. And I look forward to seeing everybody's growth over the course of this blitz. I look forward to seeing multiple rank advancements and a lot of money and a lot of lives changed over the course of this whole thing. So thank you guys so much for jumping on, and I will see you next week on the next Zoom meeting.